So if Bernie Sanders crashes and burns on Tuesday, if he doesn't win, he has to win. He has to get the momentum back, and then perhaps he can start to, chip away. He needs to chip away at Joe, the creep, the Uncle Grope and Sniff. Oh, Uncle Grope and Sniff. He needs to chip his but he's got to win on Tuesday. If he don't win on Tuesday, we got Howie Hawkins. So I'd have somebody to vote for. Howie Hawkins isn't very dynamic. He's not Mr. Razzle-Dazzle. He had a terrible answer on the viability of third parties. You got a fantastic progressive platform, and I think ultimately that's all you need in order to be an effective leader. Have good ideas and to be committed to those ideas and to get those ideas done. The third parties are really the foundation for the future when the two-party system fails. It's only the third parties who are going to save us, or we're fucking doomed. We got nobody. And plus, there's the influence and the great ideas that comes out of third parties. So, Howie Hawkins, I saw an interview, and he's not dynamic. He's not Mr. Razzle-Dazzle. They asked him, does he have a chance? The history of third parties, what are his chances? And he said no, as if he had no chance, and he just, went on to bullshit about how the Presidential Commission on Debates won't let Green Party into the debate, so therefore he doesn't have much of a chance. Now, that's such fucking... How is anybody going to get excited about that? Okay, so it's total bullshit. The history says something different. We had Whigs and Federalists, right? We had Whigs and Federalists used to be at the beginning of American history. Now it's Democrats and Republicans. So what the fuck happened to the Whigs and the Federalists? The Democrats and the Republicans used to be third parties too. So there's two successful third party runs. The Democrats and the Republicans. They were not a party until they were one. And then they got into power, and then they've been in power for, Democrats, they say till it's Andrew Jackson, and Republicans, it's Abraham Lincoln. That's the father of the Republicans, Abraham Lincoln, father of the Democrats, Andrew Jackson. So, yeah, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party shows that the third parties have a goddamn chance. Now, at first I want to acknowledge that there's a, fat chance of winning, right? It's a total long shot. I'm not, crazy. I'm not stupid. But that also says that our democracy is broken, and we need ranked choice voting. You want to make a fair election, we need ranked choice voting. But Republicans, Democrats, they don't want a fair election. So we don't get ranked choice voting. Not even Maine used ranked choice voting in the presidential elections. So ranked choice voting would definitely make the elections fair if it's properly instituted. Now, I'm going to, third parties have a very hard chance. The two-party system is longly entrenched, and they butt everybody out, and they cheat, and they also they keep people off the ballots. If you run as a Democrat, you get 2 signatures. Run as an independent, you need 5,000 signatures for Kentucky. And so history, just look at history, right? History doesn't say anything better. The Democrats and the Republicans were third parties, but that's in Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Jackson's day. You know what's happened in modern history? Modern history for the last 100 years, the two-party system has, an absolute hold on the entire party structure. Diverger's law says winner take all. So these presidential elections, which I like, but we can make them better. So we don't have to do parliamentary elections. Presidential elections are good enough. Winner take all, but we get a majority victor, and independents actually stand a chance with ranked elections. So for the last 100 years, it's been a two-party system. Greens, Libertarians, Reform Party, different kinds, Progressive Party. They've gained, 1 or 2% of the national vote for the last 100 years, essentially, more or less. So Republicans and Democrats have dominated the political scene, but that's not to say that they're inevitable. In fact, civilizations and governments, collapse, come and go. And so that's just sort of the nature of life, the life cycle, right? The 4 seasons, it's all one big revolution. It all comes back in the end. We all, die in the end. So Ross Perot, Teddy Roosevelt, George Wallace, Millard Fillmore, you had a lot of very successful third-party runs that weren't victorious. So let's talk a little bit about them. Usually you don't want to look at the losers, but they're kind of instructive to see what are the obstacles. Ross Perot in 1992 ran as a Reform Party candidate, was polling, beating both George Bush and Bill Clinton, but by election day he got 19% of the popular vote. And I don't think he got any electoral votes, or very few. So 19% of the popular vote, that's 1 out of 5 Americans who voted for Ross motherfucking Perot. 1 out of 5 is good. Now in electoral politics, 19%. I think the other one's got 40%, so that's 20 points. So that's a landslide. Ross Perot got his ass kicked. But 20% is very respectable for, not a Democrat, not a Republican. Teddy Roosevelt, he's going to run as a progressive, the Bull Moose Progressive Party, 1912. And this is against Woodrow Wilson and Taft. So, William Howard Taft, that big old fat fuck, couldn't even get out of the goddamn bathtub. So, George Wallace in 1968 got 14%. Teddy Roosevelt got 28%. Ross Perot got 19%. Millard Fillmore was part of the American Know Nothing Party, the American Party, 1854, or 1954, 1854. 1854. He got 22% of the vote. So it hasn't always been Nader and McKinney and Stein and Gary Johnson's where they only get 1 or 5% of the vote and nothing more. There's been 14, 22, 28, 19%. So 1 out of 5, 28%. There's 3 out of 10. It's amazing. So the biggest loser, third party biggest loser, would be Teddy Roosevelt's Progressive Bull Moose Party run. So it was his third term for president, but he became president because William McKinley was assassinated, so it was only his second presidential election. There was no term limits back then, so even though he promised he was only going to run for 2 terms, he broke his promise and he decided to run anyways. So what's going to happen is Teddy Roosevelt, not only does he get 28%, 88 electoral votes, but it is a 3-way race. Republican Party Taft gets 23% of the popular vote, 8 electoral votes. Woodrow Wilson gets 42% of the popular vote, but 435 electoral votes, and Woodrow Wilson becomes the fucking president. So people say Teddy Roosevelt, denied Taft of the presidency. Maybe that was Teddy Roosevelt's intention. Either he'll win, or at least we'll have a Woodrow Wilson and not a, William Howard Taft fucking the country up. Even though he got 23%, Taft got his ass kicked. So the Republican Party is going to lose to a third party in 1912. Number 1 was the Democrat Party. Number 2 was the Progressive Party. And then number 3 was the Republican Party. So that was a very strong, run. Even though he didn't win, it definitely says that it's possible. It is possible to win. Now, some people say that Taft and Teddy could have teamed up, and if Teddy's votes would have gone to Taft, and that would have been 51%, therefore beating Woodrow Wilson's 42%, which is true. But I don't know Teddy's reasoning or what his logic was back then. So if he was trying to deny Taft the presidency, he did. He overturned the apple cart, and now you got a brand new president in there. So 1912 is the biggest, third parties who lost. Eugene Debs got 6%, nearly 1 million vote. So that's, it's a possibility, but I will admit that it's a long shot. The best chance we had was over 100 years ago. And so you need a big, heavy hitter like Teddy Roosevelt. You need a Rock, right? You need The Rock, or you need Denzel Washington, or Bradley Pitt, or whoever. But you need a huge person, a political, just powerhouse to do it in order to win, the presidency. So Teddy Roosevelt could have won 28% to 42%. Teddy Roosevelt could have won again in 1912. Now he was, a Republican or Democrat? I don't know. Who the fuck knows? But he ran as a progressive and almost won the damn thing. So it's possible. It is possible. The Republicans are eventually going to make a comeback, and the Progressive Party is going to, disappear out of history. But the progressives are still here. We never left. The progressives have been here the whole time. In fact, why wouldn't one want to progress? Who would be in favor of regressing? Should we go forward? Should we march forward and create a better day? Should we just, go backwards and go into a ditch and cry and wallow in our own despair? So this is America. If you can dream it, you can do it. That's Walt Disney. There's great chances of a third-party victory. A dynamic, charismatic Bernie Sanders could take the Green Party, the Libertarians. So if Bernie Sanders Green Party, he could beat both the Republican and the Democrat, just like 1912. It'll be a three-way race. A three-way race. So who's going to win? Who the fuck knows? You know, it's a coin toss, only with three candidates now. So it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. It could break for any one of those candidates. So this is America. If you can dream it, you can do it. Bernie Sanders could take it. Now, there's great ideas that come from third parties, and then there's influence. LBJ becomes the president only because he was the vice president, and he was only the vice president because he ran 1 week out from the Democratic Convention in 1960. LBJ didn't campaign in any of the primaries. Not one single primary did he campaign in. JFK was winning 11 out of 15 primaries. LBJ jumps in 1 week out from the Democratic Convention, debates JFK, and then JFK wins on the first ballot. But LBJ, Adlai Stevenson, they announced their campaign 1 week out from the Democratic Convention. Harry Truman's going to make a big stink about how it's all rigged for JFK and have a press conference and cry about it and give up his delegate chair and whatnot. So you can get influence by being in party politics, by being a part of the national narrative. There is influence. LBJ became president because he was a spoiler. Talk about a big-ass spoiler. After all these primaries, imagine if, anybody pick Ralph Nader or, anybody pick somebody young and progressive. Anna Kasparian. If Anna Kasparian, if she's old enough, announced her candidacy for the Democratic ticket, she could do it 1 week out from the Democratic Convention. And she could become the vice president. President could get shot, and then she becomes the president. That's what LBJ did. So never underestimate the power of influence. And then great ideas. Third parties was the anti-slavery party, the women's suffrage party, so the women's right to vote. They are the ones that have to think of original ideas. They get to speak the truth because they're long shots, but the two-party system doesn't have any original ideas. They got to steal all their ideas from the third parties. If they didn't, where would they come from? You stifle the third parties, you stifle the national narrative. So we always need to respect, independent third-party candidates. In fact, why wouldn't you want to have that, dynamic conversation? Don't just debate the Democrats, debate, the Republicans too, and the independents and the Greens and anybody else that wants to debate this. Have single-subject debates. Let's just debate about the Electoral College. Let's just debate about poverty. Let's just debate about one topic and really just, dive into it. Just really just delve into it. Just absolutely just wallow and delve. So the biggest thing is Democrats and Republicans were third parties. They were not always around, so it's not inevitable that they're always going to be around. The Whigs and the Federalists used to be around, and they were dissolved. The Whigs and the Federalists were the dominant parties back in their day. Where are the Whigs and Federalists today? So they probably mocked third parties and independents, and then all of a sudden, now they're out of existence. So they used to be the dominant parties. Now it's Democratic and Republican. So just by that narrative alone, we started out with Whigs and Federalists. We have Democrats and Republicans. Where did the Whigs and Federalists go? The Democrat and the Republicans took the Whigs and the Federalists over. But it wasn't always Democratic and Republican tickets. So they were the third parties. But they were the third parties that became victorious, which is the ultimate goal for a third party anyways. The Know Nothing Party was huge in American history as an American party. Millard Fillmore, got 20-something% or so. So that's influence. 1912 socialists were elected all throughout the United States in 169 cities and 33 states. So even though Eugene Debs only got 1 million votes, socialists were elected all throughout the U.S. Bernie was elected as a Democratic Socialist for the U.S. Senate, the prestigious U.S. Senate chair. 1998, Jesse Ventura won the Minnesota governorship on the reform ticket. So it's possible. It's possible for independents to win. It's possible for third parties to take over the Democrat or the Republican parties. In fact, it's almost necessary. The Democratic Convention, the superdelegates, they cheat. They cheat every fucking which way. They have contempt for their base. Progressives need a place where they can actually just talk and say, what kind of future do we want in a political party that's not trying to destroy us? So I want to talk a little bit about the Federalists and the Whigs, because I think those are the two best examples. Abraham Lincoln is going to be the main reason the Whig Party is gone, and then Andrew Jackson is the main reason the Federalists are gone. So the Democrats wipe out the Federalists, and the Republicans wipe out the Whigs. And then these other parties were trying to get in. There was the nullification, the nullifier party, and American Freedom Party, this party, that party. So people have been the opposition party. I think that's what Lincoln started as, the opposition party. And then in 64, he ran as the National Unity Party. So not Republican, it was National Unity. But that's the, third party that eventually, he's known as the father of the Republican Party, so the National Unity Party. National Unity Party eventually becomes the Republican Party. But the Know-Nothing Party and Abraham Lincoln are what killed the Whig Party. The Whigs were in power from 1833 to 1856. And then the Know-Nothings came in 1856, and then Abraham Lincoln, won in 1860. The Federalist, George Washington, was actually nonpartisan, but he was a Federalist. He had, this is Alexander Hamilton's party, so he did everything Alexander Hamilton wanted done, like the Jay Treaty and some other stupid shit. John Adams, George Washington, John Jay, John Marshall, Rufus King, DeWitt Clinton, Charles C. Pinckney, Alexander Hamilton founded the Federalist Party, and it's going to collapse in 1816. So from 1789 to 1860, for the first, 30 years of America's presidential history was the Federalist Party. And then eventually Thomas Jefferson's Democratic Republican Party. So it's just both of those two ideas together. We're a Democratic Republic. So he's a Democratic Republican Party. So that's, you kind of, think about it for a second. 1800 election, third party victory. Kind of, right? It's not the Federalist. Or maybe it was a one-party system being replaced with a two-party system, right? When the 1800 election was tumultuous, so you're either on the side of Aaron Burr or Thomas Jefferson, and Aaron Burr is going to be tried for treason later on. He was like, he could have been a Spanish spy. He mingled with the Spanish officials, and he was trying to run off into the Spanish Florida at the time, but okay, that's a lot farther away. Okay, so 1800, Aaron Burr might have been the president of the United States. A two-party system shattered the one-party Federalist system, but what's the two parties? Democratic Republican? It's just the, the Thomas Jeffersonian party and the Aaron Burrian party, whatever they believed. So the 73 electoral votes, Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson are going to tie. They're going to tie. And then it's going to, there's going to be a tiebreaker, and it's going to go to the House of Representatives or something, and then, Thomas Jefferson eventually becomes the victor. The Federalists were able to swing their weight in that primary, that election, and they would rather have Thomas Jefferson apparently than Aaron Burr. So the 1800 election could be kind of a third-party election. I think Andrew Jackson is the father of the Democratic Party, that genocidal racist piece of shit, so that's not a good start for the Democrats. Formed in 1828, it's the world's oldest political party, and the Democratic Party are going to overtake the Democratic Republican Party. So the Democratic Republican was more anti-federalist, then you had Whigs, and then you had Know-Nothings, and you had nullifiers. So there's a whole bunch of political parties. It all got, shook. You just throw a bunch of political parties into a little jar, and you shake them up, and then you throw them out. And now there's no more Whigs and Federalists and Democrats and Republicans. You can do the exact same thing today. History is our guide. Those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. So we can put Democrats, Republicans, and all these political parties into a jar, shake them up, and then eventually the Democrats and the Republicans are no more, and all you have are a bunch of Libertarians and Green Party. Or, maybe American Union, Peace and Freedom. Peace and Freedom Party. There's a bunch of good names out there. The Opposition Party, I think, actually is a pretty good name, too. So, yeah, history, everything is just done because people are in positions of power and they make decisions, and so all you got to do is either replace those people or just make your own political party, and then you'll be a person in power making the decisions, and then hopefully that political party catches on. So that's what you would have to do in order for a successful third party. So that's what Howie Hawkins should be talking about. He should be talking about the Democrats and Republicans already won, right? Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson, they already wiped out the Federalists and the Whigs. And then also Teddy Roosevelt showed that it was a three-way race. Teddy Roosevelt showed that it was very, very easily and very probable and very possible. 1 out of 3 chance. So, you know, how many fingers do I have behind my back? If you pick 3, then that means, Teddy Roosevelt could have been the president. 1 out of 3 chance. 1 out of 3 chance is good. It's a 3-way race, so the Diverger's Law thing doesn't work because it's not just 2 people. It's like, well, what about this person, that person? It's a 3-way race, and I think in the heart of every American, it's 4 political parties, but if you don't have 4 strong candidates, then it's just, how many strong candidates are up there. But Bernie Sanders could go Green Party, right? Somebody big, a big titan. Take Angelina Jolie, take Jennifer Aniston, take any of these Hollywood celebrities. Any of these celebrities could really, come in. Trevor Noah, right? Any of these celebrities could come in and they're powerhouse hitters, and they would do a lot for both of these political parties. They would do a lot for these political parties. And so you have a big-time celebrity, let's say a big-time celebrity, let's say Johnny Depp ran for the Green Party ticket. If Johnny Depp ran for the Green Party ticket, I think Johnny Depp would become president. So I think if you have a heavy hitter in one of these independent races, and they have a very strong chance, if not being very likely, of winning, because people are sick of the 2-party fucking system. Is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Is it that? Shut the fuck up. So, yeah. Howie Hawkins. I'm going to vote for him if Bernie's not in there. I will vote for Bernie if his name's on my ballot forever and ever. But if Bernie's name isn't on my ballot, then I'm going to vote for Howie Hawkins. Howie Hawkins stayed true to who he was. Bernie used to be one, for us. Now he's back kissing the establishment's ass. And, passing a couple amendments here and there. Anyways, yeah. So, Howie Hawkins, it's fucking possible, man. Fuck. Peace.